Leonor didn't even raise her voice when she said it. And honestly, I think that's the part people can't stop talking about. Because according to people close to the palace, the billionaire expected admiration. He expected fascination, maybe even gratitude. Instead, Princess Leonor, Princess of Asturias, looked at him calmly and basically told him, "I don't need your money." Not, "Thank you." Not, "Maybe later." Not even the polished royal answer people are used to hearing. Just a quiet rejection that hit harder than any public scandal. And what makes this story explode right now in 2026, is that it happened during one of the most carefully controlled periods of Leonor's public image. The Spanish monarchy has been trying to present her as disciplined, mature, military-trained, emotionally controlled. But this moment, this felt personal, human, almost rebellious. And I'll be honest with you, I think this is the exact reason younger audiences are suddenly connecting with her in a completely different way. Because while people like Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Prince William still represent that polished royal tradition in Britain, Leonor's generation is playing a different game entirely. Spain's future queen doesn't look like someone trying to impress billionaires anymore. She looks like someone trying to protect her freedom before the crown fully closes around her life. And that changes everything. The crazy part, the rejection apparently happened after weeks of speculation surrounding a wealthy young businessman connected to elite European circles. The kind of guy the media instantly labels perfect royal material. Private jets, luxury foundations, billion-dollar family connections, the entire package. But here's my hot take. I think Leonor saw something most people ignored. Because sometimes extreme wealth around royalty isn't romance. It's strategy. And I know that sounds dramatic, but think about it for a second. Every single person around a future queen comes with an agenda. Every friendship becomes political. Every relationship becomes symbolic. Even silence becomes a headline. That's the hidden cost of being Leonor. She can't just date someone. She has to evaluate what they represent. And honestly, I think she's exhausted by it. If you're new to Leonor's story, subscribe, I post every day. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Sources close to royal watchers say the billionaire had been pursuing Leonor through elite social circles connected to military events and private gatherings. And apparently, people around him genuinely believed this would become serious. But Leonor's response completely flipped the narrative. Not because she rejected him specifically, but because of what she rejected. Money, influence, protection, access. She basically rejected the idea that her future could be bought or upgraded through wealth. And I don't think enough people understand how unusual that is in royal history. Historically, royal families loved strategic matches. Power marrying power. Wealth stabilizing institutions. Optics controlling the future. That's how monarchies survived for centuries. But Leonor seems different. And honestly, I think her military training changed her mentality more than people realize. Before, the media treated her like this shy royal daughter carefully following protocol. But after the military phase, something shifted. Even the way she walks into public events now feels colder, sharper, more independent. I noticed it months ago, and I remember thinking, she's learning how to emotionally detach. Not in a cruel way. In a survival way. Because imagine being 20 years old and realizing almost every person you meet already knows your future before you do. That's terrifying. And here's another thing, nobody is saying loudly enough. I think Leonor is deeply aware of what happened to previous royal women across Europe. The pressure, the loneliness, the way relationships become public property. Look at the endless scrutiny around Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Look at the constant analysis around Kate. Every smile becomes a conspiracy theory. Every absence becomes international news. Leonor sees all of that in real time. So when this billionaire reportedly tried to impress her with luxury and influence, I honestly think she saw it as another cage. And maybe that's why her reported response felt so cold. I don't need your money. That sentence sounds simple, until you realize what it actually means. It means, I don't want to owe anyone. And that, to me, is the real story here. Not the billionaire, not the gossip, not even the rejection itself. The real story is that Leonor may already be preparing emotionally for the isolation of becoming queen. Because the strongest people around power eventually learn one brutal lesson. Dependence is dangerous. Now obviously, the palace will never confirm these emotional details publicly. They'll keep everything polished and vague like always. That's the monarchy's survival strategy. Controlled mystery. But sometimes a single sentence reveals more truth than an official statement ever could. And this rejection revealed a lot. It revealed confidence, distance, possibly even fear. Because let me ask you something. What kind of young woman rejects a billionaire without hesitation in 2026? Especially in an era where influencers, celebrities, athletes, even politicians constantly orbit wealth and status. Most people chase power. Leonor seems to be running from it. That's why audiences are fascinated by her right now. She doesn't behave like someone desperate to become iconic online. She almost behaves like someone trying to preserve pieces of herself before history consumes her. And honestly, that's relatable in a weird way. Not the royal part, the pressure part. A lot of people watching this probably know what it feels like when others expect you to become a version of yourself that no longer feels real. Now here's another layer people are missing. This rejection also quietly sends a message to Spain. Leonor doesn't want to be viewed as weak. That matters politically. Modern monarchies survive on perception now, not absolute power. And perception in 2026 moves faster than ever. TikTok clips, AI edits, viral commentary. One awkward moment can damage years of careful image building. So what happens when headlines suddenly paint Leonor as emotionally independent instead of romantically vulnerable? Her image gets stronger, and I genuinely think the palace understands this. Which is why I don't fully buy the idea that insiders are worried about this story spreading. Part of me thinks they know this makes her look disciplined, untouchable, focused, almost like Spain's answer to a modern warrior queen. Meanwhile, while British royals continue balancing tradition with celebrity culture, Leonor's team seems to be building something else entirely: distance. And maybe that's smart, because attention in 2026 is dangerous. The more accessible public figures become, the more people feel entitled to own them emotionally. Leonor might already understand that better than most adults around her. But here's my personal concern. Independence can slowly turn into emotional isolation. And that's where this story stops being glamorous to me. Because imagine hearing applause every day while trusting fewer and fewer people privately. That's not freedom, that's survival. I think that's why this story hit audiences emotionally. People weren't reacting to the billionaire. They were reacting to the loneliness underneath. Leonor's response, that single line, "I don't need your money," sounded powerful on the surface. But underneath it, I hear someone saying, "I need to know people want me for me." And honestly, I don't know if future queens ever fully get that certainty. Not in public life, not with cameras everywhere, not when every relationship becomes a national conversation. And maybe that's why Leonor feels so different from previous royal heirs right now. She doesn't seem intoxicated by privilege anymore. She seems cautious of it. Even strategic, almost like she already knows the crown gives you visibility while quietly stealing normality. And I think younger audiences feel that authenticity. Not perfection, authenticity. That's the difference. Because perfection is boring in 2026. People connect to emotional contradictions now. Strength mixed with vulnerability, confidence mixed with loneliness. And Leonor suddenly represents all of that at once. So no, I don't think this was just a rejection story. I think it was a warning shot. A message that Spain's future queen may not be willing to trade emotional independence for luxury, influence, or carefully arranged power connections. And honestly, that may become the defining trait of her reign one day. Not elegance, not status, not even tradition, but control. The control to decide who gets access to her world, and who doesn't. And maybe that's the one thing money can never buy.